Yeah, but so there's still, I mean, it's crazy too because there's still more happening in court. Like, I mean, everything is still active, even though we're not hearing about it as much anymore. And the people may be fatigued, like we talked about prior to.
Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household.
Seeing Diddy Combs, once the epitome of luxury, power, and influence in the entertainment world, now finds himself in circumstances as unrecognizable as the man he has become. For decades, he was the flashy figure gracing red carpets, dominating Forbes' wealthiest lists, and hosting opulent parties attended by Hollywood's elite. But today, the commanding mogul once draped in designer suits is a shadow of his former self, confined to a stark, windowless cell at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, a facility infamous for its harsh conditions. With bail denied, the shocking reality of his incarceration has left the world reeling, sparking disbelief and endless curiosity about how a man who once had it all could fall so far.
It's a question of that, but when you read through the indictment, it's pretty clear who could be indicted as a co-conspirator. Right now, there are people in the indictment who would be considered unnamed co-conspirators, but clearly have played a role in this conspiracy. And I think prosecutors have some big leverage on them because they're hoping that they testify against Diddy as prosecution witness.
The transformation Diddy has undergone in just a few months behind bars is nothing short of staggering. Recent court appearances have unveiled a figure who is but a shadow of his former self. Observers describe him as noticeably thinner, his once vibrant presence replaced by a gaunt, pale complexion and hair that has turned visibly grayer. This stark physical change stands in sharp contrast to the Diddy the world remembers, a larger-than-life personality who exuded confidence and seemed untouchable. Now, he appears as someone profoundly impacted by the harsh realities of prison life. But it's not just the physical toll drawing attention. The psychological strain has seemingly eroded his trademark confidence and charisma, leaving behind a man visibly altered in ways that extend far beyond the surface.
And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent till proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? And, we could debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, well, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable. And isn't he innocent till proven guilty? Well, yeah, but, we have to recognize there are degrees of innocent till proven guilty.
Diddy's time at the Metropolitan Detention Center has been anything but easy. The facility, notorious for its appalling conditions, rampant violence, and lack of basic human comforts, presents a stark contrast to the life of luxury he once enjoyed. For someone who spent decades surrounded by opulence, the adjustment has been particularly brutal. Gone are the gourmet meals crafted by private chefs and nights spent in sprawling mansions. Instead, he now endures a regimented routine of plain meals on plastic trays and the unrelenting anxiety of living in an environment where safety is never assured. Reports suggest that his fear for his own safety has led him to refuse the prison-provided meals, relying instead on commissary snacks like chips and packaged sweets. The disparity between his former life and his current reality couldn't be more striking.
Legitimate concern, no judge wants to wake up and read the headlines the next day, oh, they treated this guy special and they gave him bond, and now he's gone and he fled from justice. So that's what's in the back of most judges' minds. On the other hand, we deal with cases where clients have significant funds sometimes, and sometimes where there's money, you can craft a unique solution. Years ago it was the ankle bracelet and the ankle monitor.
Diddy's dramatic fall from grace has captivated the public, fueling endless speculation about his journey from the pinnacle of success to his current precarious position. How could someone who once seemed to have the world at his feet end up here? The answer lies in a series of legal and personal controversies that have shadowed him for years, culminating in the charges that now threaten to define the remainder of his life. Once celebrated as a visionary entrepreneur and cultural icon, the music mogul now faces allegations severe enough to potentially destroy his legacy. His high-profile status has only intensified the scrutiny, making him a target both within the prison walls and in the court of public opinion.
With all the money he has and all the resources he has, they couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where, everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone.
What makes Diddy's story even more compelling is how it exposes the harsh realities of the criminal justice system, especially for someone of his stature. The Metropolitan Detention Center, where he is currently held, has been described by former inmates and advocates as a place of relentless hardship. The facility is notorious for scandals, including allegations of corruption, unsanitary conditions, and neglect. For Diddy, who has spent a lifetime surrounded by luxury, the transition to this grim environment has been nothing short of shocking. Sources close to him reveal that he has struggled not only with the physical challenges, but also with the profound psychological toll of being cut off from the outside world.
Where his money could help us craft, he could build his separate jail cell, and we could keep him there. Just interesting to me that they sort of said, nope, you're gonna be treated not like everybody else, but a lot like everybody else. Having money doesn't do it. So I wouldn't want to be those judges. There's sort of a no-win situation for the judge.
Despite the immense challenges, those who have seen Diddy in recent weeks insist that he remains mentally sharp and focused on his defense. His legal team has been working relentlessly to secure his release, but their efforts have been unsuccessful thus far. Judges have repeatedly denied his bail requests, citing concerns over witness tampering and the risk of flight. As a result, Diddy is likely to remain behind bars until his trial begins, a reality that is intensifying the strain he faces. Legal experts have pointed out that the harsh conditions at the Metropolitan Detention Center could hinder his ability to prepare for his defense, further complicating an already dire situation.
Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens.
What's perhaps most striking about Diddy's current predicament is the public's reaction. For years, he was seen as a symbol of triumph, someone who overcame adversity to become one of the most powerful figures in entertainment. However, his arrest and subsequent incarceration have shattered that image, prompting many to question whether his success was built on a far shakier foundation than it appeared. The stark contrast between the man he once was and the man he has become serves as a sobering reminder of how quickly fortunes can change, even for someone as seemingly invincible as Diddy. Adding to the intrigue are the swirling rumors and speculation about his time in detention. Reports suggest that Diddy is deeply paranoid about his safety, fearing that his high-profile status makes him a target. Some have even speculated that his refusal to eat prison meals stems from a fear of being poisoned. While such claims remain unverified, they underscore the unique challenges faced by someone of his stature in a facility like the Metropolitan Detention Center. Unlike most inmates, Diddy's fame and wealth make him both a target and a source of fascination, adding yet another layer of complexity to an already dire and precarious situation.
Every jail is bad, and some jails are worse than others. And the problem, again, is if you move him, why is he getting special treatment? And maybe he's earned special treatment. Maybe what he's done, maybe he's given so much back to his fans and to the world and to charity that maybe there's a way that it plays out in the end. But again, to go into court and say this jail is bad, move him to another jail, is not your first argument.
Observers have remarked on the stark contrast between Diddy's current reality and the life he led just months ago. Before his arrest, he was seen enjoying a carefree day in Central Park, playing hacky sack and basking in the sun, a moment that now feels like a distant memory. The man who once commanded attention with his charisma and confidence now spends his days in isolation, weighed down by his circumstances. The transformation is so profound that it has left even those closest to him shocked.
Can't move him to the general population. And would he be at risk? Sure, he'd be at risk. There's so many people that have nothing to lose, right? They're going to be in jail the rest of their life. They've got nothing to, they want their 15 minutes of fame. They were friends with Diddy, or they hurt Diddy, or they Diddy, or they did. There's so many, people in jail that this would be their moment. You can't put them there. Plus,
as Diddy's story continues to unfold, it raises profound questions about fame, power, and accountability. How does someone who seemed to have everything end up in such a dire situation? What does his experience reveal about how society treats high-profile individuals who find themselves on the wrong side of the law? These questions are likely to fuel ongoing debates as Diddy's legal battles unfold in the months ahead. For now, all eyes are on the man who once ruled the music industry, now fighting for his freedom in a battle that could define the rest of his life. The reality of Diddy's current existence behind bars is a complete reversal of the lavish, high-profile life he flaunted for decades. Once the king of extravagance and a symbol of success in the music and entertainment industry, he now finds himself confined to the cold, unforgiving walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Known as one of the harshest detention facilities in the country, it is notorious for its squalid conditions and the severe emotional toll it takes on inmates. But what does a day in Diddy's life look like now? How is the man who once commanded the entertainment world adapting to this stark new reality? These are the questions that paint a vivid picture of the dramatic fall from grace of a figure who once seemed untouchable.
What his team is trying to do is get the public to assume that the government is leaking some of this negative information about him, like that Cassie video. But the reality is, he's got a lot of enemies.
Each day for Diddy begins far removed from the leisurely mornings he once enjoyed in his sprawling mansions. At the Metropolitan Detention Center, lights flicker on at 6 o'clock a.m., jolting inmates awake to the harsh clang of metal doors and the shouts of guards. This is a stark contrast to the serene mornings he'd likely once spent sipping freshly brewed coffee while overlooking his private waterfront properties. Now his mornings are marked by the sound of footsteps echoing through the hallways, the smell of disinfectant, and the sight of peeling paint on the cinder block walls of his cell. Diddy's cell is a far cry from the luxurious accommodations he once enjoyed. Measuring about the size of a parking space, it features a narrow iron bed bolted to the floor, a thin mattress offering little comfort, and a combination sink toilet unit that barely functions. There are no plush bedding or soft lighting, just the harsh glare of an overhead bulb that constantly reminds him of his reality. Personal space is non-existent, privacy is a distant memory, and the walls seem to close in on him more with each passing day.
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and at the hands of Diddy.
Breakfast is served shortly after wake-up, slid through a small slot in the door of his cell. The meal is basic and unappetizing: powdered eggs, a slice of white bread, and a carton of milk. For someone who once dined at five-star restaurants and enjoyed gourmet meals prepared by private chefs, the adjustment has been nothing short of brutal. It's no surprise that sources claim he avoids the prison meals altogether, fearing not only their poor quality but also the possibility of tampering. Instead, he reportedly relies on commissary items, pre-packaged snacks like chips, crackers, and instant noodles. However, even these come with restrictions, as inmates are limited in how much they can spend every 2 weeks. For a man used to unlimited resources, the idea of budgeting for snacks must feel almost absurd.
This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly.
The isolation Diddy faces is perhaps taking the greatest toll on him. He is reportedly being held in the special housing unit, commonly referred to as solitary confinement, where inmates are separated from the general population for their own safety or as a form of punishment. For Diddy, it's likely a combination of both. His high-profile status makes him a target in the general population, where jealousy and resentment can quickly escalate into violence. However, solitary confinement brings its own set of harsh realities. Inmates in this unit are confined to their cells for 23 hours a day, with only 1 hour allowed for exercise or a quick shower. That hour is spent in a small caged area that offers no real sense of freedom, just a brief change of scenery. The psychological effects of such isolation are well documented. Studies show that prolonged time in solitary confinement can lead to anxiety, depression, and even hallucinations. For someone like Diddy, who once thrived on constant interaction and attention, the lack of social contact must feel like a punishment in itself. Gone are the days of rubbing elbows with celebrities, hosting lavish parties, and commanding the attention of millions. Now, his world has shrunk to the four walls of his cell, with little to distract him from the crushing weight of his circumstances.
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the SHU have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on watch. This guy thought he would have went home. all of a sudden he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there.
Despite these challenges, those close to Diddy insist he remains focused and determined to fight the charges against him. His legal team is working tirelessly to prepare his defense, but the conditions at the Metropolitan Detention Center make it difficult for him to fully engage in his case. Access to legal resources is limited, and communication with his attorneys is often restricted by the prison's rules. Even something as simple as reviewing documents or discussing strategy requires navigating a maze of bureaucracy and logistical obstacles.
And that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on watch.
Adding to the pressure is the looming trial, set to begin in May of this year. The stakes couldn't be higher for Diddy, whose entire legacy now hangs in the balance. If convicted, he faces the possibility of spending decades in prison, a fate unimaginable for someone who once seemed untouchable. But even as he fights to clear his name, the court of public opinion has already begun to shift. The allegations against him have sparked widespread controversy, with some fans standing by his side, while others express disappointment and disbelief. The public's fascination with Diddy's downfall is largely fueled by the stark contrast between his former life and his current reality. Just months ago, he was still living the life of a billionaire mogul, jet-setting between cities, attending exclusive events, and maintaining his image as one of the most influential figures in music. Now that life feels like a distant memory, replaced by the grim monotony of prison. The transformation is so dramatic that even his most loyal supporters are left questioning how it all went so wrong.
Very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell right now, I think it really underscores the magnitude of what he's facing and the weight of the federal government.
Rumors and speculation about Diddy's time in prison have only added to the intrigue surrounding his case. Reports suggest he has become increasingly paranoid, constantly fearing for his safety. Some claim that he's worried about being harmed by other inmates or even those with connections outside the prison walls. These fears are not entirely unfounded, given the Metropolitan Detention Center's reputation for violence and corruption. Former inmates have described the facility as a place where anything can happen, and even the guards can't always be trusted. This sense of vulnerability is a stark contrast to the confidence and control Diddy once exuded. He was the ultimate power player, a man who appeared to have everything figured out. But in prison, that power means nothing. Here he is just another inmate, subject to the same rules and restrictions as everyone else. It's a humbling experience, one that has reportedly left him reeling as he struggles to come to terms with his new reality.
Latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get?
The holidays, which Diddy likely would have spent surrounded by family and friends, were particularly difficult for him this year. Inmates in solitary confinement often face even greater isolation during the holiday season, with visiting hours restricted and already limited social interaction becoming nearly impossible. While other inmates receive small goodie bags filled with snacks and treats, those in the special housing unit were reportedly excluded, highlighting their separation from the rest of the population. For Diddy, who once celebrated the holidays with extravagant parties and lavish gifts, the contrast must have been especially jarring.
I think it's to be expected, just the shock of this and the questions about what is ahead of us. I mean, how long is he going to be in custody? Is this an R. Kelly situation? Is he going to not get out for a number of years? Is he going to end up serving a long-term prison sentence from this? Or does he have a chance of beating these charges at a trial that could come, within the next 2 years?
As the months drag on, the question remains, how will Diddy emerge from this experience, and what will his life look like when it's all over? Will he be able to reclaim his position as one of the most influential figures in entertainment, or has his fall from grace permanently changed how the world sees him? These are questions only time will answer, but one thing is certain: the man who entered the Metropolitan Detention Center is not the same man who will eventually leave it. For now, Diddy's focus remains on his legal battle and the fight to restore his freedom. His attorneys have vowed to continue challenging the charges against him, and his supporters remain hopeful that he will one day clear his name. But as he navigates the harsh realities of life behind bars, it's clear that the road ahead will be anything but easy. The once unshakable mogul now faces the greatest challenge of his life, one that will test not only his resilience but also his ability to adapt to a world that no longer bends to his will. As Diddy's journey through the legal system continues to unfold, viewers are left with a multitude of questions and speculations. How do you think Diddy's high-profile status has influenced his treatment within the criminal justice system? And do you believe his experiences in the Metropolitan Detention Center will forever alter his public persona and legacy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more celebrity updates and insights. Until next time, stay tuned.